Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today I'm bringing you another episode of Matt Rants. So, why the early Matt Rants this week? Usually Matt Rants are Mondays and Thursdays, or just Mondays. Well, the interesting thing about Matt Rants this week is that we're getting 3 Matt Rants. That's right, triple the Matt Rants. So, the reason why we're getting 3 Matt Rants is because I screwed up. I screwed up real good. Just this past weekend, I think I mentioned to you guys on Monday, on the Monday Matt Rants, that basically this past weekend, I went to my cousin's house in PA, I had a great time. It was my cousin's graduation. Really proud of her. Really awesome. It was also another one of my cousin's proms. I guess I'm proud of him too. I mean, prom comes for most people, but still. So the thing though is that I'm still thinking about it right now, so it's getting me a little flustered. I left my tripod there, so next week and potentially you may have noticed this week, although if you didn't, that's great because we have had some stuff in the pipeline, and we also have some stuff coming up that's in the pipeline as well. But when it comes to filming, I cannot film anything new until next week, when my uncle comes over with the tripod. We're very official here at Those Guys Play, but so that is frustrating, yes, but thankfully I can do a lot of other shows and a lot of other stuff, just like Matt Rants, that require just my voice and some game footage. So that's kind of why we're having more Matt Rants. But another big reason is because we have some big news that came up recently this past 2 days. So tomorrow we're gonna get another Matt Rants with a completely different topic, but today's Matt Rants, if you guys can tell from the title of the video, the question is, will a Nintendo 64 Classic be coming out in 2018? Now, this is something that I'm sure many of you are like, wait, what? Especially if you haven't heard the news, you're like, wait a minute, and you're Googling furiously, right? Your keyboards are cracking, just snapping in half. So why keyboards are just being, thrown across the room right now? So the fact that you should probably keep it on a desk and click away there. But so why is the question being asked? So apparently, Nintendo looking at, and by the way, link to the website below, although you can find many different websites that have different links to what just happened I believe a day ago as of this recording. So basically Nintendo applied for an N64 trademark. Now, normally this could be for anything. It could be, for keychains. They did this in Japan, by the way. It could be for keychains, just some kind of fun merch. I remember earlier this year, some people were, their sensors kind of were set off because there were some Nintendo 64 games. People were like, oh my god, what's this? And I think it was in Europe. And there's a list of these games, or these games that'll be on the Classic Edition. And it turned out to be stuff that's coming to the Wii U store, or that went to the Wii U store that were just new editions. Because they were having like an N64 virtual console release there. So that was, my first thought was, it could be for anything. It doesn't really have to be for anything special, like a, N64 Classic Edition. But then, you could literally see and it was in Japanese, but it was translated to English, thankfully. When Nintendo was applying for this N64 trademark, the purposes for the trademark include video game program, controller for game machine, joystick for video game machine, and TV game machine, and more. So, that's interesting, to say the least. To say the most, oh my god! No, but that's very interesting. I think that, but here's the thing though, right? What the question becomes, is it going to come out in 2018? Now, I think it's not. However, sadly, the facts don't match up with, at least the patterns that Nintendo has done with releasing their Classic Editions don't match up to my theory. So when looking at the other 2 times that Nintendo has released minis or Classic Editions, of course the NES Classic Edition and the Super NES Classic Edition, when they released both of them, they trademarked them within the same year. So because this happened before, I'm sure many other people, including myself, are thinking, oh, maybe. But I'm going to take a hard no on this one. And the reason, by the way, not that we're not getting one. Oh, we're getting one. But I didn't think, and I still don't think we're getting one in 2018. And the reason why is because with Nintendo re-releasing the NES Classic, I do worry that they might be, I don't want to say flooding their own market, but at the same time, I'm going to say flooding their own market. I just did. What are you going to do? Sorry. But basically, all jokes aside, right? I think that they are not going to flood their own market. I would hope they don't, because, and yes, some people are going to say, but Matt, I already have the NES Classic Edition, or, so-and-so already has the NES Classic Edition. I mean, I know that our very own Tristan Walter, who comes on to do podcasts and Let's Plays with us, he has his own NES Classic Edition. Thank you, Tristan, for buying that off of me. Basically, if you guys don't know the story, I bid on it, then Nintendo announced that they were coming out with more, and then the bid just sat there, and I thought, is someone going to outbid me on this? Because it's $100 right now. Is anyone going to outbid me? And then no one did. And I thought, crap. So thankfully, he bailed me out of that one. He loves the NES Classic Edition. I've showcased it on the channel before, did a review of it, did an unboxing, all that stuff. A lot of fun. But with the new NES Classic Edition that's coming out, unless there's some kind of change in the firmware or in the games, somehow trying to make it less hackable, yeah, maybe people won't be going out and getting more, but I mean, scalpers will be scalpers. I'm not a big fan of scalping or scalpers, but scalpers will be scalpers. And also, there are still a fair amount of people, like myself, who didn't get the NES Classic, even when they made, reissues of it. And I think they made, 2 reissues of it, but still, there are still a large amount of people. And again, there may be even more now who now want it, who didn't even know about it for some reason. Maybe they were a little bit too young. They didn't know about it just, 2 years ago at this point. So now they might actually want it more. So I feel as if Nintendo reissuing that, yes, it's a reissue, but they never had to reissue the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, because you can go into any old retailer, hopefully, there's one near you that has one, and buy one. You don't have to spend, double, triple the price. Not that you ever had to spend, but you still aren't looking at the fact that, oh no, Super Nintendo Classics are out of print. No, they are just as in print as, any other console. So any other newer console. So for me, I really don't think that we're going to get an N64 Classic in 2018. I think perhaps maybe, it's odd because yes, it would make sense for the holiday rush, and yes, the NES Classic is coming out, the reissue is coming out in June, so perhaps if it is in 2018, it is super, super late 2018 to try to get people purchasing more of these for the holiday season. However, there's one thing I would like to note as well, and this is a separate topic altogether, but still kind of ties in a sense. Nintendo has recently come out with Switches without the docks in Japan, so I assume more for households that already have a Nintendo Switch, don't need another dock and the Joy-Cons and all that stuff, and they just want their second Switch as a kind of a tablet device. So I'm curious if maybe perhaps Nintendo will be trying to bring that out during the holiday season and not the N64 Classic Edition. Now, I know some people might say that they're different, different audiences and stuff like that, but I do feel like there are a lot of people in the retro gaming community that enjoy the Nintendo Switch and vice versa. Just because I don't have one doesn't mean that I don't enjoy one personally. So, or wouldn't want to have one and something like that. So when looking at the Nintendo Switch, they might, yes, maybe to satisfy both markets, maybe both come out during the holiday season, but I have a feeling Nintendo might be picking one over the other, and I think if it's Switch related, they might be bringing those over from Japan to the US and just releasing them for the holiday season as a kind of way to get people buying Nintendo products. I don't know. Now, by the way, I'm not saying that an N64 Classic Edition couldn't sell out during the holiday season. It can sell out any time of the year that it wants to. It's the N64 Classic. For some people, including myself, those games are still hard to emulate, and I know some people are going to laugh at me when they say that. What am I editing our videos on? A toaster? Well, I am, and it is a reliable toaster, but it still is a toaster nonetheless. So, and also trying to config that with a certain, controllers and things like that, they can be rather messy. Even people that are going to throw Raspberry Pis into I know you're going to do it in the comment section below. I didn't even, how long has it been? It's been a fair amount of minutes. I'm not looking at the timer that I'm recording us on. So, but I'm just trying to get at here is that I can tell that within the first 2 minutes, I think the first 2 minutes, someone's going to say, but why not a Raspberry Pi? Well, stop it. It's not the point of this video. But even then, though, there are still, when you get to N64, PS1, and up, there are still some emulation issues. So these aren't, NES and Super NES games or Sega Genesis games, stuff like that. There are some emulation issues with those, with those emulators on the Raspberry Pi. So when it comes to the N64, of course it's going to sell out, no doubt about it. Yes, it might. Some people would say it might depend on what games are included. I think that if they, perhaps they being Nintendo, don't exclude Mario Karts, or Mario, not even Mario Kart, sorry, exclude Mario parties, right? And don't just put, like, it would be a little frustrating if they just said, this is the best Mario party. When really, unless people will be able to hack and modify and add their own Mario parties on there, that's where things get a little bit weird. Like, when it comes to the N64, there were a lot of sequels to games that were even just introduced on the N64. So it might be best, I think, if it comes to like Mario parties, to maybe include just all three, if they're able to. But anyway, back to getting away from like the game lists and things like that. I know it'll sell, but again, the problem becomes, at least to me anyway, should it come out in 2018? I really don't know. I mean, gamers, and again, scalpers, will shell out money for both the NES if they don't have it, Classic, and the N64 Classic, but I don't know, guys. I mean, would I shell out for both? I really think that it does depend on how much the N64 Classic could cost. I think that does matter. But when it comes to the NES Classic, if it's just the same $60, I can get it anywhere, my local retail store, yeah, I would definitely want to put money towards that. Unless, they add some new games on it or something, I think there's no reason why they need to bring it up above $60. But when it comes to the N64 Classic, I'm not saying I wouldn't purchase it, although I would feel a little hesitant if I already have I would love to, buy it and show it off to you guys on the channel and show you what it can do and things like that, especially versus an original N64, but I have my N64, I have all my N64 games. Getting an Elgato recently means that I can actually record them a lot easier than I could have before, so that's also cool as well, so definitely might get some N64 vids in the near future, but I have my N64 games, so unless they come out with something that's either super rare or kind of uncommon, something that is worth it, it might technically be cheaper to buy the N64 cartridges, other than, let's say, like $100, $120 N64 Classic. And I'm only going that high because I'm assuming they might come with 4 controllers or 2 controllers or something like that. And N64 games are bigger than NES and Super NES games, so you start to get into some weird territory when it comes to space on the whatever they're using to store the data. But anyway, back to, is it coming out? I just feel like with the NES Classic, N64 Classic, and even the potential of having more Switch items for the holiday season, I don't think it's coming out in 2018. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to be proven wrong, because getting an N64 Classic anytime soon would be great, but I do think that if it does come out in 2019, it might not be that far down the line, where it might just be in, in February. Which I know we're in late May right now, so it does seem like that's a long time from now, but I can assure you guys, you'll blink and all of a sudden it'll be the holiday season, and I don't know because the thing is, I know it'll sell out, yes, but is it the best decision? And that's the thing, and yes, of course, if it's going to sell out, of course that's the best decision, no duh, but I think it'll still be Nintendo shooting itself in the foot if it's trying to release other things related to the Switch or other Nintendo products. I do think that something's got to give somewhere, perhaps, for people, and I don't want Nintendo to put it, to start, I guess, having this issue where they end up putting out, 2 classic consoles in a year. Now, I don't think that'll happen in the future. I'm sure they'll jump over, 2019. If the N64 Classic does come out in 2018, then in 2019, that's when the rumored Game Boy Classic will actually come out. So I'm sure that's what'll happen, but I don't know. I just feel as if they definitely need to spread some of these out a bit more. If it's early 2019, that spread is enough for me between the NES Classic reissue and the N64. But June, because let's think about it like this, guys, right? June, July, August, September, October, November. 5 months isn't the worst, I'll admit, if it's in October, right? I don't know, guys. I mean, I really want to know, as we're kind of wrapping this Matt Rants up, I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that maybe I'm overreacting? Maybe it's not that bad of a deal. It's still a 6-month gap regardless. If you guys have any NES Classics, and maybe to you're just thinking, bring on that N64 Classic. But if you don't have one, would you feel comfortable paying for both within the same year, within, 5-6 months of each other? Because personally, if I did that, I would feel more comfortable a little bit longer, just a little bit. But again, I mean, tell me what you guys think. Maybe you think that this is nonsense, or this in no way is bringing us to an N64 classic for some reason. Maybe Nintendo's getting into the reissuing controllers business, and they're actually going to be releasing their own N64 controllers. I don't know. Tell me what you think below. I would love to hear. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you guys want an N64 Classic Edition tomorrow, don't even worry about 6 months from now. Give it to me before the new NES, or before the reissue of the NES Classic. Whatever you guys think, please comment below. I would love to hear all your thoughts, comments, concerns, anything like that. And I just want to say that I love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow with another Matt Rants. We're going for the triple. And it won't be Nintendo-related news either. So you can even speculate what's coming on tomorrow's Matt Rants below. All right, guys. Thank you all so much, and take care, and see you soon. Literally soon. Real soon. With another Matt Rants. All right, guys. So, see ya.